Willow Creek woke slowly under a steady drizzle, the kind of spring rain that made the asphalt smell like wet leaves and hope mixed with soil. Sidewalks glistened in silver streaks, umbrellas bobbing along the streets like a parade of cautious jellyfish. In one small, slightly crooked brick house near the town's central park, Derek Sullivan fumbled with his keys, slipping on a slick doormat as if the universe had greased the world just to watch him wobble. Derek's morning had started predictably chaotic. His coffee machine sputtered like a dying engine, his cat, Newton, had decided the freshly laundered laundry was an acceptable litter alternative, and his umbrella had vanished somewhere between the kitchen and the front door. Today, Derek thought, might require improvisation, or a minor miracle. He chose improvisation, grabbing his old hoodie and stepping into the rain with the grace of a man who had resigned to small disasters. Walking down Willow Creek's Maple Street, he passed a row of modest homes, white picket fences slightly askew, lawns dotted with early tulips that had survived last night's thunderstorm, and mailboxes engraved with the names Harrison, Waters, and Lopez. Children stomped through puddles, their laughter competing with the rhythmic tap of rain on umbrellas. Across the street, Mrs. Henderson, a sprightly widow known for her floral hats and relentless optimism, watered her front garden, ignoring the drizzle as if the rain itself were insufficient. Derek nearly collided with her, apologizing in rapid-fire fashion. His usual charm, honed through years of dodging awkward encounters, could not save him from slipping on a slick patch near the curb, sending him spinning like a human weather vane before landing on his knees. His hoodie soaked, coffee thermos gone sideways, and dignity slightly bruised, he realized, not for the first time, that rain had a personal vendetta against him. Further down the street, Willow Creek Elementary's bell chimed through the mist. Derek, being a science teacher, always had a small entourage of students trailing behind him on wet mornings. Today, it was a mix of excited chaos and accidental slapstick. Tommy, the boy with an enthusiasm for mud puddles, leapt into one just as Derek stepped forward, splashing water onto both of them. Maria, carrying a stack of books, slipped on a wet leaf, dropping her precious binder. And of course, Derek tried to help but only managed to knock over a recycling bin, sending papers into the air like confetti celebrating defeat. In Willow Creek, the rain didn't just fall. It orchestrated. It staged a performance, with Derek Sullivan as its lead, unwillingly applauding every puddle. By mid-morning, Derek arrived at the local cafe, Sunbeam Sip, a cozy establishment with brick walls, hanging ferns, and large windows fogged from steaming espresso machines. The cafe smelled of cinnamon, roasted beans, and faint despair, as if mornings like this demanded aromatic bribery. He ordered a double-shot latte and tried to dry his hoodie over a chair back, managing only to look like a drenched raccoon attempting fashion. While waiting, he overheard conversations blending typical small-town news with comic absurdity. Mr. Green complaining about his neighbor's goat trespassing into his tulip patch, a group of retirees debating the superiority of pumpkin versus apple pie, and a couple planning a wedding that Derek suspected might be interrupted by the unpredictable Midwestern weather. Leaving the cafe, Derek's luck followed him like a shadow. He misjudged a step on the wet curb, sending the latte arcing through the air before landing mostly on his shoes, some on his pants, and none on the street. Miraculously, not a drop hit a passerby, which Derek silently celebrated as a minor triumph of urban physics. By lunchtime, the rain had intensified into a proper drizzle-turned-downpour. Derek ran errands in the town center, post office for stamps, hardware store for a replacement umbrella, and the library to pick up some reference books for his students. Everywhere, the small-town charm mingled with slapstick calamity. The automatic door at the library malfunctioned, dumping a tray of returned books into his arms. Mrs. Henderson waved a soaked umbrella, accidentally smacking him with it while greeting another neighbor. Tommy ran by again, this time scattering his friend's sandwiches in puddles. Even as these micro-disasters unfolded, Derek noticed something odd, a faint golden light breaking through clouds in the east, a rainbow forming above Willow Creek's rooftops. Its brilliance contrasted sharply with the drizzly chaos around him, drawing his gaze upward and stealing, for a moment, the sting of wet socks and caffeine stains. He paused mid-step, soaking, embarrassed, and smiling at the absurdity. The rainbow seemed to wink at him, playful and knowing. It reminded Derek of the very science he taught, light bending, refraction, something magical yet predictable, and, in that moment, he realized that despite the puddles, the slips, the chaos, there was a beauty woven through every storm. Sometimes, Willow Creek said, the universe is messy. It's soaked, it's slippery, and occasionally humiliating. But it also bends light into rainbows, just to remind you that comedy and grace coexist in equal measure. By late afternoon, Derek found himself helping Maria pick up her fallen books, carrying an umbrella for Mrs. Henderson while she insisted he take the warm thermos she had prepared for him, and even cheering Tommy for his last puddle jump that somehow didn't result in injury. The town moved in a rhythm of small kindnesses, accidental slapstick, and subtle resilience. As he walked home, dripping but content, Derek realized that while the day had been riddled with comedic misadventures, he had also witnessed the quiet heroism of ordinary life. Neighbors helping neighbors, children laughing without caution, strangers offering umbrellas and smiles. The rainbow lingered faintly across the sky as if to punctuate the day with gentle irony. Life could trip you up, splash coffee on your shoes, and still hand you a spectacle of color for your troubles. By the time he reached his slightly crooked brick house, the rain had slowed, leaving puddles reflecting the sky like small mirrors of hope. Derek leaned against the doorframe, took a deep breath, and allowed himself a grin. The storm had passed, the rainbow remained, and for all its chaos, Willow Creek felt alive, absurd, and utterly wonderful. Sometimes, you need a wet hoodie, a spilled latte, and a rainbow over a puddle to realize that life's misadventures are not punishments, but invitations to notice the unexpected beauty hiding in plain sight. The next morning, Willow Creek was washed clean, the drizzle replaced by a tentative sun that made the damp streets shimmer with renewed possibility. Dew clung to tulip petals and car hoods alike, droplets reflecting fragmented rainbows that seemed to wink at anyone paying attention. Derek Sullivan emerged from his slightly crooked brick house, hoodie still damp from yesterday's misadventures, hair sticking up in every direction as if protesting proper grooming. He carried a thermos filled with strong coffee, a preemptive strategy for any new calamities. The town had a quiet energy, alive with the subtle choreography of early risers. Mr. Green, whose goat escapade had almost started a tulip war, was checking his fences with exaggerated suspicion. Mrs. Henderson, resplendent in another floral hat, waved to every passerby like a mare of optimism. Children navigated puddles carefully now, eyes lifted to the sky, noticing the tiny arcs of refracted light painting their paths. Derek's plan for the day was simple: enjoy the rare sunlight, deliver some science handouts to his students, and maybe, if luck allowed, avoid catastrophic slips. The universe, however, had other plans. At the corner bakery, Maple Crust, Derek's hood caught on a low-hanging sign, sending a croissant tumbling to the wet sidewalk. He dove with the agility of a slightly desperate raccoon, catching it mid-air. Patrons inside clapped politely, some laughing quietly. Derek bowed, holding the pastry like a trophy, and the cafe owner, Clara, nodded solemnly, as if to say, "Well done, hero. Well done." By mid-morning, Derek arrived at Willow Creek Elementary, where students awaited with varying degrees of enthusiasm. The rain had left puddles around the playground, and children splashed without fear, creating a symphony of water, laughter, and squeaky sneakers. Derek handed out worksheets explaining the physics of rainbows, refraction, reflection, and the splitting of sunlight, while keeping one eye on the chaos outside. He was nearly knocked over by Tommy, who had sprinted through a puddle with reckless abandon. Derek grabbed his arm, sending both of them sliding across the playground like a water-powered luge, before tumbling into a muddy patch. Maria, nearby, stifled a laugh, covering her mouth with a hand as her binder tilted precariously. Derek Sullivan had discovered a scientific principle of small-town physics: the force of gravity doubles when puddles are present, and embarrassment is directly proportional to the number of witnesses. After school, the town prepared for the annual Willow Creek Spring Fair, a celebration of renewal, community, and mild chaos. Stalls of crafts, pies, and local produce lined the central park, with a stage set up for children's performances and a small live band tuning under a rainbow-streaked sky. Derek, still damp from his playground expedition, volunteered to help set up tables. He carried folding chairs, tripping over a misplaced garden hose, which sent a vase of daffodils flying into the grass. He rose, palms muddy, laughing at the absurdity. Neighbors and townsfolk gathered. Tess Harding, a newcomer from the previous year, was managing the craft booth with her twin daughters, laughing at the mess while teaching the girls how to fold paper rainbows. Derek joined in, helping fold a particularly stubborn strip of colored paper that somehow wrapped itself around his wrist, turning him into a walking art installation. There was a lesson in every knot, every slip of paper, every splash of mud. Life was messy, yet vibrant, chaotic yet intentional, like a rainbow stitched through a storm. As the afternoon sun broke fully through scattered clouds, the real spectacle emerged. A vibrant rainbow arched across Willow Creek, touching rooftops, puddles, and occasionally an oblivious goat wandering through the tulip beds. People paused mid-conversation, mid-laugh, mid-errand, and stared skyward. Cameras clicked, phones lifted, children pointed. Derek, hair still damp, hoodie smeared with mud, and paper rainbow draped over his arm, felt something he hadn't in a long while, a quiet, sincere awe. The rainbow was fleeting but insistent, like the universe saying, "Yes, I trolled you yesterday. Today, I make you look." In that moment, Derek noticed the smiles around him, neighbors exchanging playful jabs, children leaping for reflections in puddles, Maria handing him a cup of lemonade as a peace offering for yesterday's slips. Even Mr. Green's goat seemed content, nibbling tulips with an air of triumph. By evening, the fair had turned into a kaleidoscope of small-town joy. Music drifted, pies cooled, and lanterns reflected in the last of the puddles, casting miniature rainbows across the grass. Derek leaned against a folding chair, sipping lemonade this time, reflecting on the day's events. He realized that the messy mornings, the slipping in puddles, the flying pastries, and the chaos of the playground were all part of a rhythm he hadn't noticed. Life could feel like a storm, but it also set the stage for beauty, humor, and connection. Sometimes, the universe doesn't give you what you think you want. Sometimes it gives you laughter soaked in rain, community soaked in chaos, and rainbows bright enough to make wet socks worth it. The fair ended with a small parade. Children waving handmade rainbow flags, parents clapping, and Derek walking beside Mrs. Henderson, holding a small bouquet of daffodils that had survived his clumsy handling. For the first time in weeks, he felt entirely present, entirely human, and entirely grateful for the unpredictable comedy of his world. Night fell, soft and calm, the streets gleaming under lamplight, reflections stretching across puddles like whispered secrets. Derek returned home, hood up, shoes damp, hair wild, yet smiling. He glanced back at the faint rainbow fading above Willow Creek and thought, maybe life wasn't about avoiding rain. Maybe it was about noticing the rainbow it created. Rain might ruin your hair, spill your coffee, and make you slip spectacularly. But if you look carefully, it bends light into something worth watching, laughing at, and remembering. Sometimes, that's enough. Sometimes, that is everything.
Like and subscribe if you want to be happy and motivate.